Hello, hello, hello. Hello everyone. Welcome to this special session as part of our strategy classes. So in our classes, that is in strategy classes, we'll be dealing with many aspects of exam approach. So when it comes to our academic classes, it will be involving the syllabus that is meant for the examination. But as part of our strategic classes, they will include how to approach different parts of the examination and different stages of the examination, and also with respect to our approach towards the entire exam process. So as part of this, I'll be dealing with one important aspect of this examination, that is how to approach the prelims paper or the prelim stage or the civil services preliminary examination. So in this one, as we already know that this particular stage of the examination will be including two papers, Those two papers, as you all know, one is GS and another one is CSAT. As part of our strategic class, there is one more class with respect to CSAT, that is approach towards CSAT or how to approach CSAT paper. So in that video you can see, or in that class you can see how to approach CSAT, like from day one, whenever you are starting, like how to go ahead with the preparation so that we clear that particular paper. So this paper has become qualifying paper. Just we have to get 66 out of 200. But when it comes to the first paper, that is GS paper, here the cutoff is not predetermined. It depends upon the competition. So generally, if you look at last few years, if you score somewhere around 120 upon 200, you are safe or you are qualified for the next stage. So that is our estimation. So in any given year, depending upon the difficulty level of the paper, the score will vary. But if you are determined to score around 120, then you are almost through with the preliminary examination. So when we look at these three stages of examination, first is preliminary examination, second is mains examination, and final thing is the personality test or the interview. So all these stages, they check certain things out of our personality. Yeah, they are checked through our knowledge, but finally they are intending at checking our personality. So when it comes to the first stage, if you take the present data, nearly 11 lakh people are applying for the first stage, that is for the preliminary stage, and everyone has to go through that particular stage. Then final, we have around 800 openings or vacancies. So finally 800 seats are there, or those many people will find their names in the final list. So from here to here, so there is a filtering process. So filtering process, when it comes to the first stage, people who are applying, they are 11 lakh. But based upon this, the calculation will not happen. Based upon the final vacancies, the calculation will happen. So if the vacancies are 800, the people who are appearing at the last stage, that is at the intro stage, that will be 2.5 times of these many vacancies, that is 2000. So that is 2000. So when it comes to mains, it is 12.5 times of this, that is 800, or 5 times of this 2000. So that is around 10k. So out of these 11 lakhs, only 10k will be selected. So that is almost 1%. So 1 in every 100 will be selected from the preliminary round to the mains round. But you should not be worried about this fact that is only 1% of them selected. But according to our survey, according to our knowledge, out of these 11 lakh people who are applying for the examination, all of them are not competitive. Out of them, I can say that 1 lakh are definitely competitive. 1 lakh are definitely competitive. That means they have given 1 or 2 or 3 or many more years in their preparation, and they are going to put a challenge to you. So if you take this number, 1 lakh serious and competitive candidates, out of them 10K are being selected. So this is nothing but 10%. Nothing but 10%. So 1 out of every 10 serious candidates or competitive candidates will be selected to the mains round. So this is the general statistics that we have for the preliminary examination. So when it comes to preliminary examination mode or the nature of the examination, that is different from the mains examination. So in my lecture, I'll be dealing with how important is the preliminary stage. Second thing, how it is different from the mains examination and how we have to approach this preliminary examination, provided you have around 9 to 12 months how to approach for this particular paper. That is what we are going to see, and in the next session or in the subsequent session you are going to see how to approach the CSAT paper, that is a qualifying paper in the preliminary examination. So let us go to the aspects of importance of prelims. So as I told you, this particular round demands a lot of competitiveness, because as I told, 1% of the applications or 10% of the serious candidates will get through this round. And out of how many marks we are trying to judge a candidate? Out of only 200 marks we are trying to judge. Only 200 marks. This is a very narrow base on which we are selecting good candidates. So sometimes if luck doesn't favor that particular candidate on that particular day, then you can find that person out of the qualification. So this 200 is a very small base on which any selection can happen. But it is what the UPSC thinks, that within 200 marks, within 100 questions, we are going to select very good candidates. So sometimes, like, it is not so rational. If you make the base as 400 or 500, then the competition level also can be judged without without taking the luck into calculation. So this will be a suggestion for UPSC, but right now it is 200. Out of 200 only we are selecting very good candidates. So out of these 200, as I told earlier, if you score around 120, you are almost safe. You are almost safe, but I cannot say that 100% you are safe, depending upon the competition level, depending upon the nature of the paper, whether it is easy or difficult, the cutoff is going to be decided. So when it comes to the points like cutthroat competition, so it is already clear that the competition is huge, and this exam is hyped to the level that this is mother of all examination. Yeah, we can say this is one of the toughest examination, but it is not the toughest examination by the nature of the examination or by the nature of the question papers. It has become the toughest or the most competitive because of the competition. Because this is a coveted job for the age group of 21 to 32 or 35 or 37. Like, this is the exam which is going to give the highest opportunity or the highest platform to serve the country. So this has become more competitive. And looking at the other environment around, that is with respect to the employment conditions in the private sector in the present day, again this exam becomes like tough in nature just because of the competition. So here cutthroat in the sense, your competitor will do all the tricks, to eliminate you. Anyways, this is not a knockout examination, or this is not one-on-one examination or something, but here your competitors are very clever. So here it is not just about the knowledge, it is not just about the strategy, it is also about the elimination of the other person. So you have to be very careful. So for all this, the basic trick in the sense, like what we have to do, acquire knowledge as much as possible and make a proper strategy. So knowledge, anyways, that is the basic, and everyone has to have that. But when it comes to strategy, it depends upon a person to person. So here at our institution, we will be giving you certain tricks and trades when it comes to the preliminary examination. In a single video or on a single day, we are not going to cover everything, and that is not feasible also. So over the period of time, we'll be telling you how exactly you have to ace in the preliminary examination. Second point, it is a primary and the elimination round. See, if you take the other stages of the examination, that is from mains to interview, so here the selection percentage is 20%, and interview to final list, here the selection percentage is around 40%. So 40% of the people who are giving interview will be selected for sure. So if you take the overall conversion rate, it is around 8%. So we can call this mains and the interview round as the selection rounds, because we have certainty in selection. But when it comes to preliminary exams to the mains examination, so I would rather call it as an elimination round rather than a selection round, because most of the people, more than 90% of the people, are getting out in this particular stage. So that is why this is an elimination round, not a selection round. So there is a lot of difference between the elimination round and the selection round, because in the selection round, the chance of getting through, chance of getting selected is definitely more than the elimination round. And this is a primary round where your knowledge is checked, your personality is not checked here, but with the time constraint and with the competition, anyways your personality will come out. But here this is not the face-to-face examination, and this is not a subjective examination. This is the objective examination where right is right and wrong is wrong. So there is no ambiguity between the degree of rightness or degree of wrongness. So when it comes to mains, it is different, that we are going to see later. No scope for error. So I would try to tell you one thing. So out of these 200 marks, what we are writing for 200 marks, the basic unit of calculation, that is 0.66 or 2 by 3. So all the scores that we get in the examination will be multiple of 2 by 3. Whatever the number you take, whatever the marks that you take, that you have scored in the preliminary examination, that will be a multiple of 2 by 3. Because for every correct question, we are going to get +2, and for every wrong question, we are going to get -2 by 3. So here, the range of getting marks by attending any question, that is around 2 integer 2 by 3. If you make a mistake in a known question where you are going to get +2, if you make a mistake, you are deficit by -2 integer 2 by 3, that is -2.6. So here the margin of error is very little, margin of error. For example, if you want to attend a particular question, and if you are not sure about the answer, one way of doing it is leave this question. So if you leave this question, you will get 0. But if you try to take a chance in that particular question and if you go wrong, then the marks that you are going to get is -2 by 3. So this is the simplest difference that you can get in the paper. So a person getting above this cutoff, let's say this is cutoff. Let's say the person who has got 104, let's say cutoff is 104 and the person has got 104. The person who has got 103.33, the person who has got 103.33 is not making to the mains examination, or he is not clearing the prelims examination. So this is the margin of error that we have. So finally, everything boils down to one question. Most competitive people, they will be above the cutoff by a margin. Let's say cutoff is 104. Very good candidates will fall somewhere above 120. And the people who fall between 110 to 120, they are also pretty sure, because for them, even if they lose 2 questions, that doesn't matter to them. But most of the chunk, nearly 70% of the people will be falling in the range 104 to 110. They don't know whether they have got the correct answer or not. So even along with these people, if I say 70%, it is 104 to 110, and also the people from 98 to 104. So most of the people will be falling in the range 98 to 110. So they will not be sure whether they are at the other side of the line or this side of the line. So they are not sure. So in this range, 70% of them are going to fall, and until the preliminary exam results come, they are not very sure whether they are writing the mains, and simply they will waste the time. So it is always better to fall in this margin, or if everybody is predicting the cutoff to n, so if you score n plus 6 and above, then you are almost safe. So better to have a margin of those 6 marks to ace this preliminary examination. And in our journey towards the prelims examination, mostly from the day 1 that we have been introduced to the examination, we will be reading for preliminary only. 80% of our preparation will be there for prelims, because the GS that we are going to read for the prelims, so that will be there for the mains too. Whatever we read in GS prelims, so that will come in the mains paper. It will be for 70%. Other 30% is extra that we have to read for the mains examination when it comes to GS. Along with this, we have other papers also in the prelims. CSAT is there. Then we have optional papers too. Then we have essay, we have ethics. But trust me, the people will give only 20% time for preparation of these things in their approach towards the examination. Yeah, that is fair to give 80% to GS. But look at the time that we have invested in this particular round or to the GS. So the knowledge is too huge. Or whatever that we have to cover is very extensive. So even on the last day of your examination, you are going to fall short of the perfection. So there is nothing called perfection when it comes to the preparation for the GS paper. So even with the thorough 60 to 70% of the portion, one can ace the preliminary examination. So it is better to like consolidate your preparation. Anyways, for the consolidation, for streamlining your preparation, in our course, we'll be telling you every minutest thing that you have to follow. So what I am trying to stress here is whatever that we have read throughout, let's say 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years, what that you are reading, out of that 80% of the time you have kept it for GS prelims only, but you are going to perform in these 2 hours. When it comes to mains examination, there are 7 papers and 3 hours each. So you have 21 hours to perform, and this is the subjective paper. Subjective paper. Whatever the result that you are going to get after the mains examination, nobody is sure, because the range of the marks is very huge, because you are writing for 1750 marks, and it depends upon your descriptive ability, and it depends upon the evaluator also. But when it comes to the preliminary examination, it is just yes or no type of examination. So whether you know the fact or not, whether the statement is right or not. So in OMR sheet also, whether the bubble that you have made is right or wrong. So that is what it is going to matter. So whatever that you have done for thousands of hours in your career, that is going to be tested only in 2 hours. So in those 2 hours, your mental makeup has to be of top level. So for that, whatever that you practice, maybe yoga, pranayama, meditation, whatever that you do, or the right way of thinking, or like keeping your mind always positive, there are so many methods to do those things, but these 2 hours are testing. Even with half-hearted preparation, even with lesser acquisition of knowledge, one who is determined to clear this examination will utilize these 2 hours properly. So in our course also, we'll be telling you how to utilize these 2 hours very properly. And already we have given the class with respect to how many questions to attend in prelims, so that you can check in your portal or on our YouTube channel, like how many questions you have to attend and how you have to attend. That is part of the strategy while we are solving the preliminary paper, that is the first paper or the second paper. Next one, nature of the paper. As I told earlier, this is objective paper. There is a little scope for the error, and whatever that you are going to mark, that is going to matter. Either that is going to fetch you 2 marks or -2/3. There is nothing between 2 and -2/3. And the questions that you don't attend, that will get 0. So when you finish the examination, even that day, you are going to check your answer key, and you are going to get whether you are in or out, or you are hanging somewhere here. So this particular round of the examination is going to give you the instant result, because many websites, many institutions are going to give different keys. So in all those keys, you are above the cutoff by 6 marks, then you are safe. Otherwise, if you are safely out by -6 also, there will not be any ambiguity. But if you fall somewhere between these two, that is cutoff plus 6 minus 6, then there will be a lot of mental trauma before you write the mains examination. So let us not have any such kind of situation for your examination. So I wish you all the best for cracking the preliminary examination. So I will go to the next point. Cycle and period of the examination, or cycle period of the examination. See, if you clear preliminary examination, you'll be writing mains examination and you'll be attending interview. So after you clear the preliminary examination and you will write the mains examination, but between the mains examination, when you write the examination and when you get the interview call or the result of the mains examination, there will be nearly 2.5 months. 2.5 months, these are very crucial months. People generally become lax in this particular period, or they will become very complacent and they will simply wasting the time. If somebody asks you in this period, like what you have done and what you are up to, you can easily tell, I have written mains and I am waiting for my interview call. I am waiting for my interview call. Let's say if you plunk in the preliminary examination, if somebody asks you what you are doing, what are you up to, then you will tell, I am waiting for the next preliminary examination, which is nearly 1 year after this day. So basically, there is a lot of perception involved, or there is a lot of narration involved, or lot of positivity and negativity involved when you clear the preliminary examination and when you don't clear the preliminary examination. When you clear the preliminary examination, you can easily tell that you will be waiting for interview. So in this period, nearly 6 months will go, or sometimes 9 months will go. But when you don't clear the examination, you will be waiting for months. So that is the whole difference between your mental makeup and your own positivity and negativity. So this is what I am going to stress. Next, how prelims is different from the mains. Already we have looked into so many aspects of those. So when it comes to the nature of the examination, this is prelims and this is mains. This is objective and this is subjective paper. Here the marks are 200 and here 1750 marks, and here within 2 hours you are writing. Here you have 21 hours. Here there is nothing left to God. Here everything is left to yourself and your OMR paper. So everything is so objective here. So objective here. Yes or no. So this is what you can call the affirmative. Here it is subjective. It depends upon your knowledge, it depends upon your presentation, it depends upon your personality, it depends upon the evaluator, it depends upon the evaluator's mindset, it depends upon the day on which your paper is evaluated, and it depends upon so many vagaries that is there from the time you write the mains examination and you get the results of the mains examination. So there are so many things will do. So here the result is instant. You don't have to wait for the proper results. But here the results are like they are suspensive. So there will be a lot of speculation, lot of suspense, and when you get the marks, then there is no one to blame. No one to blame because you don't know what exactly has happened. Maybe the paper which has gone very well, in that you have got very least marks, or the paper in which you had a doubt, there you have got heavy marks. So it depends upon so many vagaries on so many uncertainties. But when it comes to preliminary examination, everything is instant, everything is objective, and everything is just in front of you. Okay, so this is how it is different from the mains examination. Okay, so in the preliminary examination, it is recognizing ability. Recognizing ability in the sense, when you read a question, there will be 4 options in ABCD wala, that is without statement, ABCD. So you are going to recognize out of this which one is correct. So it is just about recognition. And when it comes to the statement based question, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or like different number of statements. So here you are going to say whether this statement is right or wrong, whether this statement is right or wrong, whether this statement is right or wrong. So here you have to tell whether yes or no, whether it is true or false. Only that much matters here. So it depends upon the recognition. So this recognition depends upon your knowledge and depends upon your conviction, depends upon your memory. So many things are there in this particular round. Next one, conviction of knowledge. As I told earlier, is not just about the knowledge, it is about the conviction. Conviction means the strong feeling of getting that particular statement right or wrong. You have read that somewhere, you have heard that somewhere, you have written that somewhere, you remember that somehow. So it is about the conviction. Rightness and wrongness, it depends upon our conviction. So if your revisions, number of revisions are more, then your conviction will be very high. If your number of revisions are less, in the examination, wrong. So there will be a lot of ambiguity. In that ambiguity, you are going to lose your confidence also. Next one, it is with respect to accuracy. Yeah. When it comes to the approach of prelims paper, like how to handle those 100 questions in 2 hours, already that class has been done, and you can see that video in your portal or in the YouTube channel. So there we have told how we have to go about different questions of difficulty level, different, like how you have to eliminate few of them and how you have to use your logic. All that has been told in that particular video. So here accuracy has to be of high notch, and this accuracy is directly proportional to the number of revisions that you make. Number of revisions that you make. So read more, revise more. Okay, that is the mantra to get the accuracy. Next one, logical bent of mind. So when you take the people who write this examination, or let's say your competitors, so there are two types of minds that we generally see in the people. So one is the creative mindset or creative bent of mind, and another one is the logical bent of mind. The creative bent of mind, so they'll be very good in creation, they'll be very good in their language, they'll be very good in narration, they'll be good in writing. So for them, the mains examination will be very easy, because with the same knowledge or with the same content, they can fetch more marks because of the presentation, because of the narration, because of the articulation. Even when it comes to the interview process, your narration, your articulation, your conversation, everything matters. So there, usually the creative bent of mind will help us. But when it comes to the preliminary examination, there is no need of any kind of narration, no need of any kind of articulation. It is just about how you are going to bubble the answer. So that's it. So here the logical bent of mind is required. So this logical bent of mind, so this will be having high level of technique with respect to their accuracy, with respect to their conviction, and with respect to their decision making ability. So few people will be having knowledge, but they'll not be courageous to take the decision. The logical bent of mind will always try to help you in decision making. So that is always based upon logic, not upon the emotion. It doesn't depend upon the emotion. It always depends upon the logic. For every bubble that you make, you will have a reason. Okay. So logical bent of mind has to be developed. So again, that depends upon how many times you have read and what is the conviction of knowledge that you have. And also it is something to do with your number ability also. So when your calculations are like very fine, or your calculations are very fast, your decision making ability will grow. So somewhere the relation with CSAT, so that also matters in this particular round. That means I want you to be more accurate. You have to have logic rather than the emotion, rather than the ego that is coming in between you and the paper. I want the logic has to come between you and the paper. Even in toughest of the question, even in the elimination round, you can use your logic to arrive at some solution. There the hit rate will be higher. Next, very important thing is the instant outcome. As I have already told, you will write the exam in the morning and the afternoon session. Then by evening, you are going to get your marks, how much you are scoring. So this is the instant outcome. You don't have to wait up to the result day. So this is how it is different from the mains. Then the ingredients of the paper. So as everyone tells, even the people who know this process or don't, they are going to tell that this exam is very tough because you have to read a lot. You have to read a lot means you have to have knowledge about everything. But this is a generalist paper. This is a generalist paper. So you have to have knowledge about, or you have to know something, or you have to know a little about everything. So that is why we take these services as the generalist services, and our generalist knowledge about everything is very important. So when it comes to the syllabus, when it comes to the portion, people generally say anything under the sun. That means the portion that we have to read or the knowledge that we have to gain is vast. But again, we can hold them into 12 to 15 books precisely. But again, when we hold these things in 12 to 15 books, we are going to cover 80%. Other 20% is subjected to the uncertainty that can come from anywhere. But if you read these 12-15 books, or if you go through the process of the like learning in classes or in self-study or whatever, you are going to get the 80%, or you are going to have the knowledge in 80% of the question. Other 20% of the questions, like it depends. It depends like how the varied knowledge that you have about different disciplines, or the readings that you have given for your examination, or the different sources that you have got for the examination, or it depends upon like whatever that you have seen, whatever that you have heard, and whatever that you have read. So it depends upon that. But if you prepare for 15 books, and if you can manage to solve these 80% of the questions with high accuracy, you are going to get through the prelims. Many disciplines, if you go on counting, so history, geography, economy, polity, then science and tech, then environment, agriculture. So many disciplines. If you take the other minor disciplines, so these are the major disciplines that we are going to study. The other minor disciplines, so around 10 to 12 disciplines you are going to get. So you have to have a thorough knowledge about those things. And again, in those things you have a section. So in history, you have the ancient history, medieval history, and the modern history. In geography, you have world geography, Indian geography, and the physical geography. In economy, you have different sections like the basics. Then you have international organizations. Then you have banking, you have finance, you have agriculture. So many subsections are there. For that, you have to have a consolidated approach, and you have to streamline your preparation from day one to the D-day, that is the prelims day. From this day to this day, all the process has to be streamlined. All the material that you have, that has to be consolidated properly, and you have to approach the exam. Next, static and current. So when you look at the paper, there will be purely static questions. There will be purely current questions. But nowadays, most of the questions are derived from the current affairs, but the static knowledge with respect to that current affairs is checked. So you have to have a integrated knowledge. That is, whenever you read a particular current affairs, so you have to connect it to the static. You have to connect it to the section and the subsection where that particular topic falls in which subject. So you have to have a thorough knowledge about static and current affairs. Few people have very much aversion towards the current affairs, and few people are having little knowledge in the static, and they'll be having very good knowledge in the current affairs. But that is not going to help. Either of the approaches are not correct. Your static has to be very strong. static has to be very strong and your current has to be very fluid. That means, like, wherever you read, wherever you collect the knowledge, there has to be some reminiscent in your brain, and that should be connected to the static all the time. So whenever you read current affairs, where exactly that comes in the books, where exactly that comes in the notes, that you have to understand and proceed. Next one, in the questions, there will be many factual questions. So there, the conviction of whether it is right or wrong, that has to be analyzed, and there will be conceptual questions. So this depends upon the understanding of a particular topic, understanding of a particular process or a concept. So conceptual knowledge. So when your concepts are good, then the elimination will happen properly, and the confidence that you will be having while solving the question, that will be very high. And some of the question will be analytical. So depending upon the static knowledge that you have, or depending upon the conceptual knowledge that you have, you are going to analyze. So there will be many statements which will be analytical. So these are the three different types of questions that we get in the examination, or three types of knowledge that we are going to acquire. So we have to have a clear-cut demarcation between the factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, and the analytical this thing. So in our preliminary, these are going to matter a lot for 70%, and analytical will be around 30%. But when it comes to the mains examination, so 80% of this will help and the 20% of this will help. But when it comes to the essay, analytical part will be around 70% and this factual and conceptual part will be around 30%. So depending upon the different paper, we are going to deal with these particular sections. But when it comes to the preliminary, this thing, our factual knowledge and the conceptual knowledge have to be like very good. So through that we can analyze the other statements which are given in the main questions. So after knowing like the importance of prelims, and after knowing the this one, like how it is different from other aspects of the examination, that is mains examination. So let us look at the strategy for prelims. So what we are going to do for you when it comes to the preliminary examination. So this is part of our program. This is part of our foundation course or the full year course, whatever that you call. So here, what all that we are going to do. So the thorough reading. For this, we are going to help you with the classes. We are going to help you with the handouts, and we are going to help you with the dictations. Let's say if you don't join the foundation course, or if you want to do the self-study, then the thorough reading is very much important. At least 3 to 5 readings in a year, that is very much required for any candidate. So thorough reading has to be happening. Then no discrimination between the subjects. It is not depending upon like your favorite subject and the subject in which you have aversion. All the subjects have to be liked and loved and read in a proportionate manner, because you don't know from which section, how many marks are going to come. So sometimes from economy, there will be 20 plus questions. Suddenly, there will be only 10 questions. From polity, there will be 5 questions. Suddenly, there will be 25 questions. From environment, there will be 25 questions. Suddenly, there will be 5 questions. So like this, the weightage for each section is going to vary. That is why you have to read all parts of syllabus. So you should not cultivate any kind of hatred or aversion towards any part of the syllabus. Next important thing is about notes making. Anyways, we have dealt with how to make notes already, and as part of our foundation course, on the first day we are going to tell you the importance of notes making and how you have to make the notes. So that is already done. Then revision. Yes, revision is very important. I have told you many a times that revision is directly proportional to the number of marks that you are going to get. So at least 3 to 5 revisions have to happen before you go for the examination cycle. So before preliminary examination, 3 to 5 revisions have to happen. And for the main examination, another 2 revisions have to happen. And when you go to the interview, at least 1 revision of all the static portion have to happen. Next one, it is about how to approach preparation. Usually in the market, there are many different approaches, but we believe in the concept first. And Manifest IAS, we always focus on the concept. Questions come later. Few people have the opposite approach. They will prepare through the questions. Questions are limited. Questions are limited, but the concepts are vast. So when you go through the concept, you can handle any question. If you look at the question paper and if you want to try to read, yeah, that will suffice for what? For example, 120 you have to score. So only if you look at the questions without concepts, only if you practice question, then this is good enough for 80 marks. Whatever may be the effort that you are putting. But if your concepts are very clear, and if you try to solve any question papers, then like easily this can be achieved. So somewhere 120 to 200 is achievable when your concepts are fine. So that is why don't jump into the test series directly. So first you have to go through the concepts. You have to attend the classes. You have to read the books. You have to revise. Then go for the question solving. From the first day, if you go for the question solving without having the concepts, I'm not telling that you should not look into the question papers. You have to look into the question papers, but you need not worry about the solving of that one. So first you learn the concepts, you do revise, you read, then you attend the questions. This is the suggestion from our end. Next, text practicing. As I have already told, first the classes then comes the test practicing. So people keep on asking us like how many tests we have to practice. So somewhere 25 to 30 tests throughout the year, not at the last month, 25 to 30. And people ask us, do I have to subscribe to 2 different test series? No. So if you subscribe to only one test series, that is enough. But you can have a look into the other questions. Anyways, as part of your foundation course, we are going to give you this test series in this package only. So you don't have to subscribe any other test series. So you can completely trust our test series and prepare for the preliminary examination. Then finally the score analysis. From the first test itself, you don't have to analyze your score. And like these tests are there to make errors. These tests are not going to give you prize amount, or they are not going to give you the like any cash benefit or any monetary benefit. But these tests are to make mistakes and learn from them. So in the first 10-15 tests, you have to make all the mistakes that are possible. And from test to test, we are going to tell you where you have gone wrong and what you have to improve. So that is the ongoing process, and that is a gradual process. And in the last few tests, last 10 to 12 tests, you should worry about your marks. Especially in the last 8 revision tests, you have to worry about your score. Until then, you don't have to worry about your score. We are there to analyze your score. Then we are going to suggest you the measures. Finally, learning from the mistakes. As I told, in the first few tests, you have to make all the mistakes that are possible. Then you have to learn from them. So this is the approach that we had, and I can't say that whatever that I have dealt in the last few minutes, that is end in itself. This is just a beginning of a new process. So before you start anything, you have to have some things very clear in your mind. So that is why before you begin your prelims preparation or generally your preparation for the civil services, we are making it very clear that what things should be there in your mind when it comes to the preliminary examination. Hope many of your general questions will be addressed with this particular session, but if you have any other questions, definitely you can approach us at any point of time, and in the subsequent video or in the subsequent session, I am going to tell you how to approach the CSAT paper. So what are the ingredients of CSAT paper and how it is tricky and how it has been made qualifying and how the people are perceiving this particular CSAT paper in the next session. Thank you very much and all the best to you all.